let's go ahead and get started. It is 12:10. I don't want to take up too much of your time. I said these would be quick webinar Wednesdays to kind of get us started for DVAM. So just quick housekeeping. My name is Thad Graham. I am the education specialist here with the Victim Services Program for Family Services. I will be your host today and for most of the webinars throughout this month. We're going to do these every Wednesday at 12:10, about 20 to 30 minutes over lunch to kind of give you all a little insight and little tidbits about domestic violence and domestic violence prevention. So if you have any questions, please feel free to write down in the chat. I will happily, like I said in the chat, stay as long as I need to answer any questions that you may have. Also, my contact information will be available at the end. So if you have any questions that I can't answer here, or if you're interested in more in-depth information or more in-depth presentations, you can feel free to contact me there as well. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Like I said, we are looking at today Why Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And of course, we are with Family Services. So our mission here at Family Services is to provide resources to build healthier relationships and to promote personal growth. And our vision is to engage with the communities to meet the needs of their most vulnerable members. Now, our objectives for today, kind of lofty for a 20-minute goal, but we are going to define domestic violence. We are going to delve into a brief history of Domestic Violence Awareness Month. We will touch on the Pennsylvania Coalition Against Domestic Violence's recently released Fatality Report for 2019. We will discuss why Domestic Violence Awareness Month is still needed, and we will look at the role that the community-based advocacy centers have in helping to support victims of domestic violence. And we're going to look specifically at our community-based advocacy center here at Family Services, specifically with the Victim Services Program. So, what is domestic violence? Domestic violence is a pattern of coercive behavior used by one person to gain power and control over another person, over an intimate or familial relationship. Oftentimes, we believe the myth that domestic violence is just violence, physical violence, where we're hitting, punching, kicking somebody. But that is not what domestic violence is. It is a pattern of coercive behavior to gain power and control over another individual. And that's, truthfully, those two words are what domestic violence is all about: gaining power and control over another person. So you'll see many terms used interchangeably to describe and discuss domestic violence. It may be referred to as abuse, domestic violence, battery, intimate partner violence, family, spousal, relationship, or dating violence. You also hear us say DV or IPV. Those are all terms that are used to describe the same thing, which is a pattern of coercive behavior used to gain power or control over another individual. According to the CDC, 1 in 4 women and 1 in 7 men have experienced physical abuse from an abusive intimate partner. Now, something to take note here, 1 in 4 women, 1 in 7 men seem like a lot, but that's only the reportable numbers. That is only the number of people that have agreed to say, yes, I have been physically harmed by someone who I love. Those numbers most likely are a lot higher, looking at the unreported cases. So just something to take note and to think about. So domestic violence can be characterized by many types of abuse. Any or all of these types of violence or abuse may occur in a domestic violence situation. And like I said before, it is about gaining power and control over that other individual. So we're looking at emotional abuse, physical violence, stalking, sexual violence, financial abuse, and verbal abuse are all tactics that are used to gain power and control over that individual. Now, like I said before, we mostly think of domestic violence as the physical violence, but oftentimes the emotional abuse, the sexual violence, the financial abuse, and the verbal abuse are longer lasting and have longer lasting effects on these survivors than the physical violence itself. Survivors will often say that the physical violence, the bruises, the broken bones, they heal, but the emotional abuse, the verbal abuse that they have taken over years doesn't heal. And if it does, it takes a lot longer to heal. Okay, now we're going to look at, now that we defined what domestic violence is and we have a better understanding of domestic violence, we're going to look at Domestic Violence Awareness Month. So October is nationally recognized as Domestic Violence Awareness Month. It evolved from the Day of Unity, which was held in October 1981. This Day of Unity quickly evolved into a Week of Unity, and in October of 1987, the first Domestic Violence Awareness Month was observed. In 1989, Congress passed a law officially designating October as National Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Such legislation has been passed each year since, and the official color of Domestic Violence Awareness Month is, of course, purple. Multiple reasons for this. It stemmed originally from the women's suffrage movement. They saw it as a color of purity and a color of royalty, and just kind of stuck and was chosen by domestic violence survivors as the color for Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Now, we at Family Services are, of course, celebrating and supporting survivors throughout the month of October. Blair County Purple Thursday is October 29th. We ask that you wear purple, and if you do wear purple, you or your organizations are dressed in purple, we ask that you take a picture and you send it to us through our Facebook. We would love to share all of your photos of purple people, of people wearing purple to support our survivors here in Blair County. Of course, we're going to do webinar Wednesdays on domestic violence specific topics throughout the month of October, looking at everything from LGBTQ plus communities and domestic violence versus, looking into more of the myths of domestic violence and looking more in depth of what domestic violence actually is. We also have a social media campaign. This is a national and a statewide campaign. It is the My Hashtag One Thing. You'll see the picture is there in the corner. What we're looking for is, once again, it's a social media campaign. You write down your one thing that you would like to see change on domestic violence or that you would like to do to help domestic violence. Just one thing. Take your photo, send us the picture, or post it on your Facebook and add that hashtag #MyOneThing. We would love to see a lot of community support for our survivors, and it truly does mean a lot for us and for our community. Excuse me. So looking at the Pennsylvania Coalition Against Domestic Violence's Fatality Report. The 2019 Fatality Report was released a few weeks ago. And in Pennsylvania, there were 112 victims who died last year as a direct result of domestic violence. Looking at those numbers a little bit further, 44 males were killed because of domestic violence. 68 females were killed because of domestic violence, and 39 of those victims total were killed by a relative. So we're looking at aunt, uncle, mom, dad, stepbrother, stepdad, any direct relation. 39 of those victims were killed by a relative in a domestic violence situation. Blair County had 2 deaths last year due directly to domestic violence. And looking at some of the surrounding counties, Center County had 3 deaths. Bedford County had 4 deaths, and Clearfield County had 1 death. Oh, look, I have a typo. Gotta love it. So, This number is down a little from last year. There were 116 deaths from domestic violence last year, but that's still a lot of people who died in preventable ways, and a lot of them by direct family members. So why is Domestic Violence Awareness Month important? Why are these numbers important? Why are 112 lives important? Why are 2 deaths in Blair County important? Because we think of numbers and we think 112 people isn't a lot of people comparative to other things. It's still a lot of lives, but we have to look at the humanity behind this, the victims' stories. And unfortunately, if you read the Fatality Report, which is available to you, and you can easily get to it from my resources here, you will see that there are victim stories like this one throughout. This victim story is a 45-year-old woman and her 19-year-old daughter were charged with 5 counts of homicide for killing of 5 relatives, 3 of which were children. The victims ranged in age from 9 to 45. The suspects and victims reportedly all resided together, and the women separately admitted to choking the victims. So a 45-year-old woman and her daughter murdered 5 people, including 3 children, through strangulation in Bucks County last year due to domestic violence. These are the issues that this month is here to bring forth and to talk about and to educate and to hopefully prevent situations and occurrences like this from occurring. That is what we're trying to do, and that's why it is important. So let's look at the Victim Advocacy Center and specifically what we do here at Family Services. So our Victim Services program is here to help. Our advocates here with the Victim Services program, they work with survivors of all major crimes, but specifically they provide support and advocacy for domestic violence and sexual assault survivors, as well as survivors of human trafficking. They provide 24-hour help 7 days a week, and we have a 24-hour crisis helpline. This helpline, can be it will be answered 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If you call between the hours of 8 and 4, most likely it'll be our helpline advocate, Brittany. And Brittany will actually be assisting me with a program later on this month. If you call after normal business hours, you will get one of our amazing advocates who are here to assist and to help with anything a survivor needs. Our advocates do respond 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, whether it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon on a Sunday or it's 3:30 in the morning on Christmas Day. Our advocates will be there to meet the survivors where they are. They are mobile advocates, and they will meet that survivor where they are. Our advocates, we like to say, we have this amazing bus analogy. All of our advocates are there to assist and to help with these survivors, but we do not tell a survivor what they need to do. We want that survivor to gain that power and control back. The only way they can do that is through making their own decisions. So no matter what we do with these survivors, no matter how we help them, they are the ones that are driving the bus. They are the ones who are in charge. They have that power and control over their own lives. They make the decision of how long this bus ride will be, how many stops we will make, and who's on the bus. If they need our advocates to get off, the advocates will get off the bus. If they need to pick the advocate up a few stops later, that's what they're there for. Once again, our help is about allowing that victim to gain that power and control of their lives back. Some of the services that we offer here at Family Services. We do have, like I said before, the crisis hotline and intervention. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If there's a problem, you can call our number If a survivor is being abused at 3 in the morning and the police are on scene, they can call us. If a survivor needs to leave at 1 a.m. on Christmas evening or Christmas Eve, like I said, our advocates will respond. They are mobile advocates. They are, mobile. They will meet the victim where they are. We do offer safe emergency sheltering. Now, we do not have a domestic violence shelter anymore, but we do have other options to provide safe emergency sheltering for our survivors of domestic violence. We have multiple options, including hoteling, which is a great option for our survivors. We do use the housing first model, so it is very important for us to get these survivors into their own house, their own apartment, their own place that they can call home, where they can be safe and move forward from there. We do offer counseling as well as safety planning for all of our survivors who use our services, as well as any law enforcement or medical accompaniment and advocacy, including our CPO office, which is located at the Blair County Courthouse. If someone would need to file or help or assistance filing a PFA or any other civil protective order, the ladies at the courthouse do an amazing job of identifying the survivors and assisting them through the CPO/PFA process. Victim compensation assistance. Any of our advocates can assist our survivors through the Victim Compensation Assistance Program. And we do also offer the FSI Justice Project. So what this is actually civil legal assistance. So it helps survivors with filing for divorce or for filing for custody of their children, and will assist them through that process. It is, like all of our offerings, 100% free, and will allow the victim to have the free legal assistance they need to hopefully get custody of their children and get divorced from their abuser. Our dual advocates, we are dual advocates. They are trained in both sexual assault and domestic violence advocacy work. Everything they do is confidential and victim-centered, as well as empowerment-based and trauma-informed. And of course, the best part is all of our services, including mine, are 100% free. Our advocates have absolute confidentiality, which means that anything that a victim tells them is safe. They cannot be subpoenaed to tell that in court. It is written in state statute, which allows them to truly assist our victims and allow them to know that anything they tell them is safe. Our hotline. If you don't know it, please write it down. Our helpline is a local number, 814-944-3585. It is answered, like I said, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, whether by Brittany, our helpline advocate, or by someone else, one of our other advocates. There's also a 1-800 number if you need it. But like I said, this is a great number to have on hand, as you never know when you may need it. The rest of our information for family services, like I said before, the CPO office for PFAs, which is located in the courthouse. Their phone number is 814-693-0130. Our helpline, again, our address here at Broad Avenue, and of course, our family shelter, which I'm hoping all of you have seen. We'll be expanding, and we'll be getting our new family shelter soon, hopefully. If you have any questions about family services in general, you can email us at info@familyservicesincorporated.net. This is the time. If you have any questions, please feel free to click them in the chat. I'm going to skip over that, and I'm going to go to my information here as well. Like I said, if you have any questions, feel free to write them in the chat. If you don't want to write it in the chat, feel free to reach out via email. My phone number and extension is on there as well. If you have any education or training needs, or would like to hear a little bit more on this subject, please feel free to reach out to me. Anything that I do presentation-wise is always free. And if you have any questions, I am always here to assist. This is it. It's 12:30. Perfect timing, 20 minutes, like I said. Feel free to log off if you have any questions. I'll hang out here in the chat for a little bit. If not, all of you have a wonderful day. And like I said, please feel free to reach out if you have any training needs or questions. Thank you for your time, and I hope to see you all next Wednesday. And please share the information. I will hopefully see you all then. Thank you.